The EU and the US thought they had everything under control, but they never expected this. Today, we'll look at how a few political moves have unexpectedly shaken up the global economy. We'll look at how sanctions designed to isolate particular countries are now fueling a power shift, and why gold is suddenly the star of the show. Stick with me, and I'll show you how these twists and turns aren't just stirring things up. They're laying the groundwork for a whole new financial era. But before we get into the details, please like and subscribe to The Global Narrative. We're all about bringing you the most recent and greatest information, so don't miss out. Okay, let us get right into it. First, let's address the elephant in the room, the massive U.S. national debt. It has officially surpassed the staggering figure of $35 trillion. That's right, $35 trillion. To put it into perspective, it's like a mountain of debt that grows taller by the day. China, formerly a major supporter of U.S. bonds, has discreetly backtracked. They have reduced their investments by approximately $113 billion in just the first half of 2023. This is not a trivial adjustment. It indicates a significant loss of faith in the U.S. dollar and its stability. So, what is the big deal? Well, when a significant player like China begins to withdraw, it raises suspicions. This transformation is about more than just numbers. It underscores a growing global perception that the dollar may no longer be the safest investment. It's no surprise that other countries are exploring alternatives as the U.S. government continues to incur debt. Now let's go into the details of punishments. Following Russia's activities in Ukraine, the EU and the United States imposed severe sanctions on the country, believing they would destroy its economy. But guess what? Instead of isolating Russia, these restrictions have forced it to focus on Asia and the Middle East, diverting its gold supplies to countries willing to trade without the dollar. Before the restrictions, Russia was a significant supplier of gold to Western markets. Now that the West has banned Russian gold shipments, countries such as China and India are stepping in. They are not only buying gold, they are accumulating it. This shift has caused ripples in the global market, adding to a fall in the dollar's supremacy. As countries abandon the dollar, the landscape of international trade changes dramatically. Speaking of gold, let's discuss why it's blazing brighter than ever. Gold has traditionally been seen as a safe refuge, but it has recently gained prominence. The price of gold reached a record high of about $2,550 per ounce in August 2024. That represents a 20% gain alone in 2023. Why the sudden interest? Okay, there are a couple of reasons. First, the Federal Reserve has hinted at prospective interest rate reduction. With inflation decreasing and unemployment rising, many expect a rate cut as soon as September. Analysts, such as Al Hansen of Saxo Bank, have noted that gold has been on a steady rise since late October. Despite the uncertainties, investors appear to be flocking to gold as a safety blanket. Let us not neglect geopolitical threats. Ongoing crises, particularly in Ukraine and the Middle East, have people scrambling for peace. Countries are growing their gold stockpiles, and consumer demand is soaring, particularly in China, where the economy is dealing with its own set of issues. It's a perfect storm that has made gold the preferred asset for many. Now let's shift gears and discuss the Brics nations. These countries are not simply sitting back. They are actively attempting to lessen their reliance on the U.S. dollar. With the sanctions in place, they have discovered that relying on the dollar might be risky business. So what are they doing about it? For starters, central banks in the Brics nations are increasing their gold purchases. In 2023 alone, central banks around the world purchased about 400 tons of gold, the largest annual buy since 1967. Russia is leading the charge, shifting gold shipments to countries like China and India, which are looking to diversify their holdings. And it's not all gold. Brics countries are also looking into other payment mechanisms to promote commerce without the dollar. The Brics Bridge proposal, for example, aims to build a framework for transactions in local currencies or gold. This shift is noteworthy. It's not only about trade, it's about establishing a new financial landscape that isn't based on the dollar. As these countries unite together, they send a clear message. They are poised to break away from dollar supremacy. Let's talk about something that's been making headlines recently. Geopolitical tensions, do you know? With so many wars and conflicts going on throughout the world, it's no surprise that an increasing number of people are turning to gold as a safety net. Consider the ongoing problems in Ukraine and the Middle East, for instance. They've heightened people's fear, prompting them to seek out something solid to cling on to. Individual investors aren't the only ones feeling the heat. Countries are also joining in on the activity, diversifying their reserves as if it were a new trend. With the dollar starting to feel fragile, nations are turning to gold and other currencies. This is not just a passing phase. It represents a significant shift in how countries think about their financial destinies. What are the implications? Well, let's just say they're rather substantial, especially given the dollar's status as the world's reserve currency. So what about the central banks? They're not simply sitting back and watching the spectacle. They are actively increasing their gold reserves. It's as if they're saying, hey, let's be smart about this. And they're correct. Stockpiling gold is becoming more popular, particularly among the Brics nations. Why? Because it's a wise decision to hedge against inflation and currency changes. In 2023 alone, central banks around the world collected a staggering 400 tons of gold. This is the highest annual buy since 1967. Countries are realizing the importance of diversifying their assets in today's volatile economic landscape. The old-school dependence on the dollar is beginning to feel a little archaic, and this shift has the potential to shake up monetary policy and global finance. Looking ahead, developing markets are becoming the hot new destination for investors, with the Federal Reserve hinting at potential interest rate decreases, serving as a clear signal for capital flows to these countries. Investors are looking for possibilities to gain from a weaker dollar and lower interest rates. Let us not overlook gold mining stocks. They are undergoing a revival. The VanEck Gold Miners ETF, NYSE-GDX, rose about 25% in 2023, demonstrating how successful mining businesses are becoming as gold prices rise. This data demonstrates a strong link between growing gold prices and the attractiveness of mining ventures. Investors are eager to participate in this gold rush, and emerging markets are poised to reap the benefits. So, what does the crystal ball reveal about the future of global currency dynamics? The trend of de-dollarization is unlikely to reverse very soon. Analysts believe that the Brics nations will push for a new currency backed by gold or local currencies. Imagine a world in which countries may conduct trade without relying on the dollar. A Brics-backed currency may facilitate cross-border trade while also providing a viable alternative for others. As more countries seek to break free from the dollar's tight hold, the ramifications for the US dollar's position as the main global currency are enormous. It's a game changer, and we're all watching to see how it plays out. So here's the deal. EU and US sanctions against Russia have caused some unanticipated developments in the global economy. China and India are focused on gold and new ways to trade, pushing the dollar aside. With gold prices surging, we're seeing a significant shift in how individuals invest, which is unsettling the dollar's dominance. What are your thoughts? Could we be witnessing the end of the US dollar's reign? Share your opinions in the comments. That's it for today. Stay tuned for more and see you at the next one.